Welcome once again to Women's Radio 2, the home for men and women now who part of the cultural creatives and all those who would like to be in the cultural creatives. Such a good group. And today, once again, my guest is Christine Baumgartner, the relationship guru. And today we're going to talk about something that everybody needs more help with, how to apologize and why you should, or maybe why you shouldn't, or any of those things that go along with that conversation. I'd love to welcome Christine Baumgartner back to Women's Radio 2. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Pat. It's such a pleasure to join you again. And boy, is this an important subject, huh?
Indeed. Indeed. And you've helped me with it.
Good. I'm glad I've been helpful. It's something I've helped myself with, and then I get to help other people now as a profession. It's been lovely. So the two reasons to apologize are if it's going to help you feel better because you know you did something wrong. Or even if you don't the second reason is even if you don't understand why the other person's upset, if you really, it's important to you to re-engage with them. Now, they still get to do whatever they're going to do on their side, you know, apologize back or accept your apology or not. It's keeping your side of the street clean is what I tell people. That you need to be okay enough that you've done your best to say whatever you needed to say, and then see what the other person says. So I often tell people when they're so upset with somebody, I go, okay, tell me all the things that you're upset with, and what part do you think you played in it? What have they said? Because maybe we can't always see ourselves what it is. What have they said that's upset them, that they pulled away, or they got mad, or they slammed the phone down, or they said they never want to see you again, or they need you to apologize. Maybe they'd even been that direct. That would be so lovely. So tell me what they said. Because often what happens is we didn't intend it. We didn't mean it. They misunderstood us completely. Or maybe, yeah, I did say that, but I didn't really mean that. We've all said that. And it's a very human way of feeling, because we're not robots. We're not Chat GPT, right? That's what we were just talking about, right? Such an interesting experiment. So what I tell people is if you want to feel better by saying something and you want to see if you can re-engage the other person, first you have to say, I'm sorry for everything they say you did, even if you didn't mean it.
That reminds me, and I don't know if you know, do you know the Hawaiian term that is used when you say, I'm sorry? There are four things that you say, and it like revolutionized. What is that called?
I had somebody tell me, it's in my notes somewhere. I love it, and I can't remember what it was.
I know, I love it too, and I thought I'm going to get it this time. I think I wrote it down, but I don't. I think I might have to do it and put it in front of me.
Hey Siri, what's the Hawaiian apology? We'll look it up.
It's like homo something HOM.
Well, it's these four things that you say.
Yes.
Siri told me she doesn't speak
Hawaiian.
We're going to have to look it up another time because this is not working. I usually it does it really well, but there are.
The first thing is I'm sorry. And
yes. So this is sort of that, in that whatever they've said upset them. You say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. What we tend to want to say is, I'm sorry if. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. They're saying my feelings are hurt, so you need to say, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, even though you didn't mean to, even though you don't even understand how it hurt their feelings. It wouldn't have hurt your feelings if you said that, if somebody said that to you. It hurt their feelings. So you need to apologize. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. That's really the words to say, and it's really hard. It's really hard, especially for men, because men take apologies very seriously. And they are absolutely willing to apologize when they know they're wrong. So the visualization I give them is if you've got your arms full, you're walking through the living room, your loved, adorable woman sitting there, she happens to have her foot sticking out, you step on her foot accidentally, and she says, ow. What would you say? And they all say, I'd say, I'm sorry, I stepped on your foot. Now, you didn't mean to. You would have never done it on purpose, but you hurt her foot. So you need to say, I'm sorry, I hurt your foot. So even though you don't mean to hurt her feelings, if she says you hurt my feelings, just like her foot, you have to say, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings. Or she says, you promised you'd do this way. And the hard thing is we women are not always clear about what we want. So you think you understand as a guy and you go do it, and then it wasn't exactly the way, and now she's upset and you want to explain, but that's not what you said. Generally, when somebody's feeling unheard, unlistened to, uncared about, which is what happens when you need to apologize, there's no room to hear it. You didn't say it that way. There's no room. So if you really want to end up being able to say you didn't say it that way, you first have to say, oh, yeah, I could see why that would upset you. If that's really what they heard, misheard, misunderstood, okay, yeah, I'd see why that upset you. The energy goes down, and then you can talk to them really well. So first we have to go, so like little kids, we've had little kids in our lives. They come in, the world's coming apart. Oh my God, everything's horrible and it's never going to get fixed. And you need to go, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah. Johnny isn't speaking to you, or somebody took your ball. Yeah, sucks. Sorry. And then what are we going to do about it? But you do with little kids. Sorry, that happened. Wow, that must feel really bad. So sorry. Now what are we going to do about it? In our family, often it's because they need a snack. Certainly one of those. We need something to eat or to sleep. But first, we all just want to be acknowledged that this upset us, and we need you to say, oh, I'm sorry, I upset you. That's really the best way to start if you want to feel clean about yourself and you want to have the best opportunity to re-engage with somebody, because you will be left out in the cold if you try to explain or you try to justify or you do that. Sorry if I upset you, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. It will never penetrate into the, oh, they cared, they heard that they hurt my feelings. And we could be totally unreasonable when we're getting upset. We could be totally unreasonable, but if we're already unreasonable, we're not going to listen to rationality. I know you want to be rational, but there's no room. So first you have to go, oh yeah, I can see why that upset you. Yeah.
I think people really want to feel gotten. They want to feel like, even though that did happen, they really are wanting to be back in the center with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and it does take work on both sides, I believe.
Yeah. So if you can come up with an agreement in the beginning, if I
Now,
do,
there's the trick, coming
it
up
is.
with agreements. We've talked about that. Of course, I think it's so big that we ought to return to that as well.
If everyone started out conversations with new people, whether it's a friend or a business associate or a person that you might become romantically involved with this kind of a conversation, wow, looks like you're upset with something. Tell me what it is. And they tell you, and work really hard not to get defensive, because we all have that automatic reaction of getting defensive. I didn't mean that. I didn't say that. They're totally misunderstanding me. And say, wow, yeah, I can see why that upset you. That would upset me.
When
And
you're
then they might,
when you're in a bigger group of people, let's say you're in a boardroom, and you can sense that something you may have that you said, or something about the way you said something didn't set well because somebody snaps back at you or says something, I don't know, in an off manner. How's that? How do you overcome that in front of so many people? How do you say, what words do you use then?
so it sounds to me like you're really upset about something. Tell me more about that.
Okay.
Because when you're in a big group of people, you have to see, is it something that's really pertinent to the group of people? Is this going to send everything south if you don't address it? Or is this person just having a bad day? Or are they a problem? Are they trying to make a problem? So I don't assume I know the answer to that question until I've asked them, because generally they'll say the words that'll tell you what your next thing is going to do. If
Right.
you just say, tell really, so you're not going to be defensive, you're just going to ask, I need to know more about that. Because I'll tell you personally, when I've been in this situation coaching business people, I've often been surprised by their answer. I thought I knew, but I didn't. And it was a very helpful answer to know what to do next. So when I was teaching executives how to respond better, they went, oh, because they had assumed we all then later said, what did you think they were going to say? And nobody guessed what they were going to say. Everybody guessed all sorts of, some of us had similar things, some of us had different things we guessed. And I did that exercise on purpose to say, see, we need, and lots of times they'll say the thing you were thinking, at least now you're verified, but lots of times they will not. They will say something completely different that then you get a different way of responding to them, hearing what upset them. We'd sit around the dinner table as we got, my brother and sister and my parents and I, as we got to be adults. And my mom would go, I remember this thing. You were so upset about it. I didn't know what to do. And we're like, I don't remember that. And then we'd say, remember this thing? And mom would go, I don't remember that. So we all have different perspectives about what stabs us, what delights us. So this is how you find out about what's going on inside of people, to say, I can see that you're having emotion about that. You have thoughts about that. Tell me what they are and see what they say. Okay, they forgot to eat breakfast. You never know what they're going to say. Yeah.
So how do you help yourself listen so that you do not take offense? How do you learn to do that little trick?
Yeah,
Because
it's
it's
one of those things.
really important in business, especially if you're operating in a group, and getting to the center for a group is really, really important. Then how do you manage all of that? Or what advice do you give to the whole group, maybe? Can you establish some kind of agreements? I
Hmm?
mean, it really doesn't protect everyone's feelings. So how do you go about helping people like that?
Such a good question. And it might be a whole nother subject we could talk
Yeah,
about, how
maybe
to
so.
handle business meetings, because I was thinking more one-on-one when I was thinking about this subject. Certainly in a business meeting, the person that's running the meeting needs to have done some really good internal work, that they know how to put their ego aside, that they know how, when we all know that triggering feeling. We all know when something goes inside of us or hurts our feeling. As the emotion starts escalating, we know that feeling.
I think
So,
it starts in your stomach, doesn't it?
and it gets bigger.
I
It's not like
know.
a little tap. It's a big thing. So we need to be clear about, when I have this big feeling, can I regulate myself if I'm the person in charge? So if it's the person in charge, I give them different instructions on, you need to stay cool-headed. This is your job. We can go have a whole thing about it later, but the whole place is going to go south if you explode. So,
Right.
but then if it's the people in the meeting, because we used to have these retreats at one of the companies I worked for, that we would have talks about how to keep yourself regulated at work when something sets you off, how to personally do it, how to have somebody to talk to, or do you need to walk away and come back, or do you need to, I didn't understand. I needed more information. And can the person hear that and say, oh, I get that. I can see why you did that. Because we all get to be about 8 when that happens. We feel defensive, we feel picked on, we feel misunderstood. And it's so important to grow ourselves up when that 8 starts to happen. We need to take personal responsibility for, is this worth getting really upset right now without having more information? I need more information. which is why I have to make sure I eat and I sleep, because I'm not good at regulating myself if I've not done those two things. I so know that about myself.
I think everybody's like that. I don't think you're totally unique in that
I
department.
have a lot of self-regulating. I have a lot of willpower. I have a lot of patience. I can do
You do.
lots on the moment and then have a whole emotional thing later. It's so beyond difficult if I hadn't have enough to eat or sleep. It's just
Right.
too hard. So that's the other thing. Do you make sure you're as prepared as you can be, that you've done enough the right things to keep your body feeling better, and then go, yep, I'm having a big emotion about this. I got to talk about it. Because often we women will cry and men will raise their voice. It's not like everybody doesn't do both, but generally that's what happens. I've seen it enough in meetings. And it's bad for both people. It's bad for the meeting. So how can we
Yes.
get, so there's a scale. If you look up a wheel of emotions, there's a feeling wheel. It's got like, I don't know, 60 gradations. And there's like 10 that go from mildly irritated to full on rage. So if you can catch yourself, because generally we don't jump to rage, stuff starts happening, starts poking at you, starts irritating you, bothering you. And so then you keep getting more, and then you finally cry or yell. So if you can catch yourself as it's happening, even if it all happens right at that meeting, you still feel it doesn't just, unless you really have some sort of chemical imbalance, which some people have. Generally, most of us climb up a scale and we don't pay attention, or we go, oh, it's not that big of a thing, or I can't say anything. We're finally going to just fall apart or explode. And it's not that you, it's certainly okay to do that. It's just not very productive usually.
And sometimes it makes you sick.
Yeah. If you hold it all in,
Yeah, hold it in, and that doesn't help you either. So,
nope. So I hope that that's helpful. Certainly in one-on-one relationships, that technique works really well. And I'd love to talk more on another time about how to handle it in a big group.
I would too. I'm gonna write it down, Christine.
Good. Writing it down
Okay.
is so good, Pat.
So we're not going to call it apologies. What do we call it? Managing our stress in a group.
Yeah.
Would that be
Yeah.
good?
How to
Okay.
re-regulate yourself. Yeah. Especially if a bunch of people are having a big emotion about it. It's kind of catchy.
Well, some people will catch. I mean, if two people spark, and then it's almost like people immediately take sides and or have opinions. Well, if it were me, I would blah blah blah.
Mhm.
So here again, maybe part of the solution is making prior commitments to each other, and a way to say if anything comes up for you that really causes you to feel like you have not been heard, understood, or you've been put down in any way whatsoever, whatever, this is what we're going to do next. I think if people know that you have a built-in solution, do you find that that's helpful?
Yes, if you're going to have a big group meeting, establishing ground rules is really helpful, really helpful. And making sure everybody agree. First, they need to, do you understand what I'm saying? Active listening, repeat it back to me, because I want to make sure that what I said is what you heard. Because it
Right.
doesn't always happen that way. And if they can repeat back what I said, or I need to adjust my words some, and they agree, then we've established ground rules that when something comes up, they have permission, they have a road map of what to do when something comes up. I need to interrupt because I have to have a conversation about this. Okay, we agreed that that's what you could do. Mhm.
Well, that is certainly good information too, as always. And I am so grateful that you continue to grace us with your not only your beautiful presence, but your very, very great heart and lots of good knowledge. So thank you so much, Christine, for being with us again.
My pleasure as always, Pat. Thank you always for inviting me. I love sharing this information and hope it's helpful for the viewers and the listeners.
Right. And we're going to get on to our viewers before too long and say, we really, really want you to participate. So
Mhm.
write us and or call us. I'm going to make sure that I have that number written down the next time and have it memorized, or at least have it on a big piece of paper in front of me so I can give it each and every time. So we do have a number that people can call and leave a good message.
Wow.
And I'm going to make sure that gets up on the site at least.
Good.
Thank you again.
You're welcome again.